Hello, and welcome to the third lesson in this series. Now, if you remember last lesson, we were talking about adjectives. And if you remember, adjectives change the meaning of nouns. Okay, but today we're going to talk about verbs. What's a verb? A verb is an action word. So, for example, think, dream, drink, drive, type, write, sit. These are all examples of verbs. And in English, we have two types of verbs. We have an irregular verb, which has three forms. And then we have a regular verb, which has two forms. So let's have a look. First, we'll start with irregular verbs. So here we can see the list of verbs and then their equivalent forms. So we have the base form or the infinitive form, V1. We have the past simple form, V2, and the past participle, V3. So, for example, buy becomes bought, becomes bought. So this stays the same. And we'll explain what this means in the next part of this tutorial. But for now, just know that there are three forms of an irregular verb. For every irregular verb, there are three forms. But sometimes they can all be the same. For example, hit, hit, hit. And sometimes they all change, like give, gave, given. But just remember that there are three forms for each. And those forms are base form or infinitive, V1, the past simple, V2, and the past participle, V3. Okay, so now let's go on to regular verbs. Regular verbs have only two forms. For example, talk, jump, type, and walk. Now, these can only change in one specific way. For example, talk can become talked. Jump can become jumped. And walk can become walked. As you can see, all we're doing is adding ed onto the end of the word. And we add this depending on when something was said, if it was in the present, the future, or the past. But I'll explain more about verb tenses in the next lesson. Be sure to check the description box for the list of irregular verbs, as we can see here. We have a very, very, very long list of irregular verbs. And in English, you need to know all of them instantly. So get going and try to learn this list.